Welcome, everyone, to our webinar, Justifying the Investment for Customer Success Technology. Here with me today is guest speaker Kate Leggett, Vice President, Principal Analyst at Forrester Research. She is accompanied by Nirpaz, CEO and co-founder of Totango. Kate is going to present first on the realities of CRM in the subscription economy, while Guy builds on her findings to introduce and explain how customer success technology fits into the customer management ecosystem. Kate's going to present first, so now I will go ahead and turn it over to her. Kate?
Hey, thanks, Christine. And thanks to all of you on this webinar who've taken an hour out of your busy days to listen to Guy and I talk about justifying the investment for customer success technology. And to start this conversation, the first thing that we should do is talk about the modern customer and the importance and the power that the modern customer has. So you think back a decade ago, 2 decades ago. In the past, companies did a great job at controlling all the information about the products and services that they sold and supported. For example, its price, location, features and functions, how it was used to deliver business value. So what happened a decade ago was that the Internet and social media matured to such a point that it ushered in what Forrester calls the age of the customer. So today, there is a tremendous amount of transparency, authenticity about the information relevant to the products and services that you're looking to buy or that you've bought and you need support on. Things like specifications, case studies, how the product or service is rated or reviewed, how it has worked, how it has been used to deliver business value to customers in the past. And so what this means, because of this transparency and authenticity of information relevant to products and services that is readily available, is that today customers, like all of you on this webinar, you sit in the driver's seat and you control the conversation that you have with companies that you do business with. And because of this, what it means for companies that are selling the products and services that you're buying, companies have to be a lot more obsessed with delivering experiences in line with customer expectations to be able to garner their satisfaction and their long-term loyalty to the brand. And this isn't only true in the consumer world, in the B2C world, but it is increasingly true in the B2B world. So, another trend that we're seeing, another characteristic that we're seeing in the age of the customer is that our world has moved to a subscription economy. So instead of buying products via capital expenditures, we're subscribing to services. Subscribing to services is a lot more attractive as monthly costs are a lot easier to rationalize. You look around you in your personal life and you can see what industries have already moved to this model, like media and entertainment are offering their products by subscription. Amazon, for example, has made shipping a service. Even groceries, transportation are available as a service. And in the business world, you think about Yammer for collaboration. You think about, for example, Box for content management, Google Apps for office productivity tools. All of these technologies are available via subscription. And at Forrester, what we've been doing over the last 3 or 4 years is tracking the move of B2B software categories being purchased as a service. And so what you're looking at on the screen here is data from the last 3 years and the uptake of different software categories like commerce platforms, digital customer service solutions, ERP solutions, finance, accounting solutions, marketing automation solutions. And you're looking at the blue lines indicate the number of enterprises who have either purchased these software categories as a subscription to complement, either as a new purchase or to complement or replace existing technology. And then what you see on the screen here, going back from 2013 to our latest data is from last year, is that in every software category, there's a rapid move, a rapid acceleration to having these different technologies being purchased via subscription. And these are heavyweight technologies that used to be purchased as capital expenditures. So it's not only for B2B software or media and entertainment categories that are moving from being purchased as capital expenditures to being purchased via subscription as a service. So we believe at Forrester is that just about everything will become part of the subscription economy. Think about Amazon. Amazon is already shipping baby and household supplies as monthly subscriptions. And then even manufacturers like Rolls-Royce is not selling. They don't sell their jet engines anymore. They offer their jet engines with an hourly maintenance cost. So you're buying power by the hour. You're subscribing to a jet engine service where you're paying for the use of that solution with maintenance bundled in it. There's companies like Train and Carrier. These are companies that manufacture air conditioning equipment for big corporate buildings. They're offering cold air as a service instead of requiring building owners to buy and operate refrigeration units, chillers. So that's why we believe that everything is becoming part of a subscription economy in your consumer life as well as in your business life. And because of this, relationships are becoming more important, and the outcomes of managing relationships is rising to the surface. So you think back to when products were purchased. The emphasis, the energy went into making that first sale. And when that first sale was made, most times you ended up losing track of the customer. You had no idea whether the product was used to its full potential, or you didn't even know if the product was actually installed or if it had just become shelfware. And in the subscription economy, what it means is that now you have a long-term relationship with your customer. The focus is obviously on acquiring customers, but the focus has shifted on not only on just acquiring customers, but also maintaining those relationships over time and making them successful. You want to make sure that your customer is getting the economic value of their purchase, because only when they realize the economic value of that purchase will your customers stay loyal to your brand. So what does this mean for vendors? So it means that vendors used to be all about delivering products. But in today's world, in the age of the customer where you're controlling the conversation that you're having with the companies that you're doing business with, and in the move to a subscription economy, delivering products isn't good enough. Vendors have to deliver outcomes and success. And this is why customer success exists. So you look at a customer's journey with a company, from discovering a product to buying a product to maybe trying out a solution, doing a proof of concept, to getting onboarded, to properly onboarded to using the product within the company, and then perhaps expanding its footprint. And what you need to realize is that during this customer journey, your customers can churn just about at any time during this journey. For example, if onboarding doesn't happen successfully, customers won't start using your product, and they'll end up churning at renewal time because they didn't get any value. They didn't get any economic value out of their purchase. So same thing, if customers aren't taught how to use the product in the right way, they don't get any value out of its initial use. Customers may question their investment in the product that they've bought. And again, they may end up churning at renewal time. And then if customers learn how to use the product, but they're not getting full value of the product because they haven't learned about best practices, tips and tricks, or they're not using the differentiated features of your product, again, they end up churning. And so what this means is that you have to actively manage each step of the customer's journey, from initial provisioning to onboarding to using and teaching the customer how to get value out of their purchase, how to use the product or service that they've bought to be able to meet their business goals. And then if you do this well, you'll be able to recognize new and expansion opportunities for your product or service within that target account. So, because of the importance of supporting customers in the subscription economy, in the age of the customer, and focusing on making them successful by realizing the economic value of their purchase, this new organizational role has emerged in many companies. And it's customer success. And customer success is all about proactively managing customer relationships in order to decrease churn, to increase existing revenue, to increase the customer's lifetime value with you, and to drive advocacy, which influences new sales. So, where does CRM fit into this conversation? So 2/3 of companies, both big and small, are already using CRM as a foundation of customer engagement. CRM it's a 20-year-old technology. It's a mature technology. It's been it's been around for decades, and it is a huge software category valued at $24 billion 2 years ago, or last year in 2015, and it's projected to grow to $32 billion by next year. So CRM, you think back a decade, 2 decades ago, CRM started simple. CRM, customer relationship management, was all about the business processes and technologies to be able to automate sales engagements, to be able to automate marketing activities and customer service. And so think about the core sales automation capabilities like you need today. Today, CRM solutions are chock full of very mature features and functions that are needed to manage the sales process. From that initial lead that marketing hands you, to realizing revenue at the other end. And then you think about these capabilities that span, for example, lead management, opportunity management, contact management, deal tracking, configuring pricing and quoting capabilities, forecasting, and then adjacent capabilities like commissions management, incentive compensation, incentive planning. And again, you look around at CRM vendors today, and they offer these very mature capabilities. And there's even vertical specific sales capabilities that are available for different target industries or different sizes of companies. But what we find is that CRM does a great job at supporting salespeople for example, the inside sales rep, field sales rep, sales management, in the pre-purchase journey, in making that initial sale. And it's a journey that we call at Forrester the lead to revenue journey. But again, think back to what the modern customer demands. For the modern customer, engagement doesn't end when you've made that sale. Like what you saw in all the slides that I presented so far, the modern customer needs to be supported through their entire journey. That doesn't end with placing an order. It involves onboarding, using the product, realizing the economic value of your purchase at every step of this journey. And what we find is that traditional CRM doesn't do a great job at equipping account managers or customer success managers to be able to support their customers in this post-purchase journey, and a journey that has a goal of retaining your customers over time and having your customers buy more to be able to increase their footprint of your products and solutions within their company, and turning them into company advocates. So the question you have to ask is, how do companies equip their customer-facing people with the right information about the customer to add value in this post-purchase journey? And what we find is, again, with traditional CRM implementations, is that CRM doesn't always do a good job at equipping these customer success managers or account managers who are focused on nurturing customer relationships after the sale with the right data, with the right insights, to be able to have the right value-added conversation. I did a survey last year of over 250 CRM practitioners, and I asked them what were their challenges that they were facing with their CRMs. And it's not surprising that still creating that single view of customer data and information to be able to have the right conversations at the right time with the different users of your product is still something that is difficult to do within CRM. And being able to get customer insight out of your CRM solutions to be able to drive decision making is the second most hardest or struggle that CRM practitioners face. So what is customer success? Or how does customer success start? It starts with having this right data to be able to have the right conversation with different users that you're engaging with at the right time. For example, you need customer data, but you don't need just traditional customer data. You basically need to understand how many users have been provisioned. Who are the active users? Who are the ones who are using your products? Who are the inactive users? How were users onboarded? Did onboarding happen successfully? What are the goals of the end customers? What are the features that they're using? What are the issues that they have had with your product as measured by calls or tickets into your support organization? And again, you want all this data to understand who's using your product, who is not, and then how do you, with all this information, how do you intervene to successfully onboard users? How do you know what features are being used? Are the stickiest features being used? Are features being used in the right way? You need contract data. You need to understand the terms of the contract, the renewals terms. To be able to understand if your user, if your customer is realizing that return on investment, and to be able to understand what adjustments to the contracts make sense for your particular customer. You have to understand advocacy data. Is your customer happy with the product, with your company? Will they serve as an advocate for you? What's their feedback that they've given you? Customer feedback, support feedback. So you need all this data about your customer. But it's not only about data. You need to consolidate this data, and this data can reside, for example, in ERP systems, in CRM solutions, and customer service solutions. Survey results can live in their own repository. So you need to take all this data that lives in different repositories. You need to cleanse it. You need to deduplicate it. You need to run data integrity checks on it to be able to make sure that the quality of the data that you're working with is good. And then what you want to do is you want to visualize the data. You want to segment it, for example, by customer tier or similar customers or things like health score. You want to explore the data to be able to uncover perhaps like unexpected insights from questions you didn't even know that you needed to ask, like parameters which could have a large effect on customer churn. And then once you've discovered insights, what you want to do is you want to kick off these reproducible, standardized workflows to engage in a standard way with your customers. And these workflows could be things like best practice onboarding workflows or workflows to drive a higher customer adoption or retention. And if you do all this well, if you have the right data, the right insights, the right workflow, customer success can engage with users and stakeholders to drive better engagement, better loyalty, to help reduce customer churn. For example, for product users, again, using this data and insights and workflow together, you can, for example, collect data on who's using the product, who's not using the product. You can define intervention workflows to help onboard customers, onboard your inactive users. Things like sending them login reminders or instructional videos or invitations to collaborate with peers who are using the product well. Your data can be used again to understand what features are being used and are they being used in the right way, following best practices to help your users realize, again, the economic value of their purchase and to further and meet their business goals. And you can use these data and insights and workflows to have conversations with the stakeholders to be able to quantify the product's time to value and the return on investment and adjustments to contracts that make sense for the particular user. So to sum it up, CRM started simple. It was sales, marketing, and then customer service. And with the shift to the age of the customer, with the shift to our subscription economy, customer success is rising to the forefront. Customer success, it's a key technology that organizations need to use to be able to nurture customers after that initial sale. And you want to nurture your customers to grow their engagement with you. And ultimately, why is this important? It's because better engagement, better customer engagement has a quantitative impact on your top-line revenue. A better engaged customer is one who's less likely to churn, less likely to take their business elsewhere. They're more likely to buy more from you. Perhaps it's a cross-sell and upsell, a whole new other product, or even more seats of your solution. And this helps increase their lifetime value. And if a customer is satisfied with your product or service and is really realizing the value out of your solution to be able to meet their business goals, they will be more likely to serve as an advocate, which drives future new sales. So today, think about customer success as a necessary component to be able to manage and grow your existing customers in the way that they want to be engaged with. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Guy. So Guy, over to you.
Thank you very much, Kate. And I'm very happy to talk to you guys this morning. Some of you, it's in the afternoon. I'm also very excited to speak about the customer success technology and tee up on Kate's great introduction into the customer success domain and the need and the challenges that modern organizations have when they embark their journey towards the age of the customer. A quick intro about myself. Probably many of you know my name is Nirpaz. I'm the founder and CEO of Totango. I've also written the book Farm Don't Hunt, the definitive guide for customer success, which sums up a lot of my personal journey within the customer success space within the last 7 years. So just to set up the basis for this conversation, when we think about the objectives, the business objectives of customer success, we think about the goal is to retain and grow the existing customer base. Everything we do, which is around customer love, customer satisfaction, customer engagement, is for the business purpose of retention and upsell. So one of the objectives of this webinar was to talk and answer this question. When we think about the 20 years of investment and organizational investment within CRM technology, why all of a sudden, if we need to retain and grow our customer base, why do we need a new technology to do that? Why can't we just build up on the existing technology and just use that? So I'll start with several realities when we deal with our existing customers and we have to ensure that we are able to proactively retain and grow them. We may want to think that our customer base is all organized and structured in these kind of very nice rows of all customers, same type, same situation. But what we know is, and what we learn is that our customer base keeps on changing, and it changes every day. Their business requirements change, their organizational structure changes, the reasons in which they've purchased or subscribed to the technology or the service has changed. Their business realities, their competition, their products, all of that keeps on changing. So it is very important for a business to keep on track with the constant changes within the customer base. And for that, we can definitely use data to do that. However, we need to think about that as a constant stream of data coming from the support queue, from product adoption, coming from various channels of customer feedback. And the reason I mentioned the word stream is because it is an ongoing, constant stream of information, like a stream of conscience, that needs to be organized into knowledge and into insights that companies can act on. For a quick example, if a customer demonstrates a drop in usage and adoption of 20% and is not willing to serve as a reference and has over 5 open support tickets, this is knowledge that we want to act on as a business. When we went and interviewed many businesses about their churn challenges, what we've heard pretty frequently about this event where they lost one of their most important customers or almost lost one of the most important customers, and when they when they went and dug into the information to try and prevent it in the future, they reported that they could have seen all the signs, right? So there were emails and conversations and information, but none of that signals turned into one consolidated knowledge that there is an issue within this customer, and even more importantly, there was no trigger that created some sort of process or engagement for someone to take care of that. So one of the key challenges on this ever-changing customer base is to listen to this stream of indicators about your customers and turn that into a model that could be worked with like customer health. Now, in this model of monitoring, if we kind of compare what we currently have in our technology stack, so when we look at a sales CRM, which was designed for record keeping and usually based on a relational database, in order for this type of model is very well designed to keep the records of opportunities, keep the records of contacts, keep the records of accounts, but it doesn't drive us as an organization to action. Because in order for figuring things out, we need to go and look for more information. It holds passive information and it is designed for record keeping. If we go and look at our service CRM, which was designed around a messaging system paradigm where the customer communicates about a problem that they have, and this starts a workflow of resolution, this is a reactive model, right? So we have the CRM as a passive model. We have the service CRM as a reactive model, while our goal, as defined, is to be proactive about retention and upsell. So we need to adopt a model of monitoring. Monitoring means that we keep on receiving those signals about the customers and we transform them into knowledge that transforms into indications, alerts that as a company we can use to be proactive about our customer base. So if we, to sum this point out, when we think about our retention and upsell, we think about ever-changing customer base and a monitoring paradigm that will allow us to be aware of customer situations so we can take action. So when we talk about recurring revenue, and this is kind of try to connect the customer journey from a business process perspective, the classical sales CRM is what you see on the left-hand side, which is the marketing and sales technology, which was designed to turn prospects and opportunities into subscribers. And the customer success technology is designed to maintain those active subscribers and ensuring renewals and upgrades and preventing cancellations. So the goal of this system is actually to retain and grow those subscribers. So I think this is pretty obvious. But I guess the key here is to make sure that it is about being proactive, meaning the way I define the customer success charter is to proactively impact retention, upsell, and generally lifetime value. The word proactive is very, very critical because we as organizations want to take control over those outcomes. We want to be able to influence the chances of our customers to renew their contract, the chances of our customers to buy more, the chances of a customer to be an advocate. And for that, the being proactive is very critical. There are 4 or 5 key business processes within the customer success domain, and sometimes they are broken through multiple organizations, but at the heart of that, I would look at the onboarding, nurturing, renewal, expansion, and maybe even escalation management as the 4 or 5 key core processes for customer success. And one of the points that I make in my book is that when we think about the journey of an existing customer, we need to think about this more as a recurring cycle, very similar to growing an orange tree. You have the young tree in the beginning, a sapling, where you need to really take good care of it, and then you have a growing tree, and then you're in harvest and back into growing tree, and that's the cycle of recurring revenue. The 2 key processes here that are absolutely critical are onboarding, and it is all the things that you do in order to take care of a new customer. and growing, which is everything else that you do. Because ultimately, renewal, upsell, and cancellations are results that are determined by how well did we onboard the customer and how well were we able to grow the customer through the cycles that Kate has mentioned before, onboarding them, driving adoption, driving engagement, advocacy, and so forth. Another very important dimension to take a look here is when we look at a timeline, let's say an annual contract, we can clearly see that onboarding a new customer could be the first 30 days and renewing a customer is the last 30 days, but there are 305 days in between that we need to take care of. On the second year, we don't even have the onboarding, so it's 335 days, meaning that most of the time, customer is in the growing phase, and the nurturing that we need to provide there is what will determine, in most cases, the ability to impact those outcomes, the renewal, the upsell, and the cancellation. So looking at the dimension of drivers and outcomes is really critical. If we want to be proactive, we need to influence the drivers so we can determine the outcomes. Now, this is all simple, but once we grow as a business, once we grow in number of customers, the size of the customer success organization, the number of products that a company has, the complexity of operating on that becomes exponentially more difficult. And this is another reason why when we think about this problem, we need to think about the technology that enables us to scale into those challenges. One of the points that I really like kind of frequently make is the concept of portfolio management. When the model of customer success management is basically an exercise of portfolio management. Some people would think it's project management because onboarding is a project, but we talked about the fact that nurturing goes beyond that, and this is not a project. Some people try to implement a support-based model for customer success. The problem with that is that it's reactive. Some people are trying to implement a pipeline model for customer success, taking a look at the renewal date, subtracting 45 or 90 days, and running renewal pipeline. However, we all know that by that time, the customer has already made a decision, and for that reason, again, pipeline management is not a proactive model for customer success. So if you really want to think what it is like, it is portfolio management. The portfolio management, you are basically looking at your customers and their economical value to you and the economical value that you create for them, and you try to manage that. So the first order of segmentation here is to segment customers based on drivers and outcomes. Segment customers into new customers, growing customers at risk, and customers that are in harvest, which is basically means that they are right now in renewal or in upsell event. If you look at this model well, and you look at the right-hand side at the bottom, you will see that this looks like a P&L, right? The goal is to minimize churn, maximize retention, maximize upsell, but all the metrics above, which are measuring the success of the processes, are determining whether or not there are all the leading indicators into determining whether or not we'll be able to meet our goals. If we look at the second row, where it says growing, and we look at the metrics on the right-hand side, we can see that exactly as Kate mentioned before, the way in which we want to measure our success in nurturing customers and growing customers is based on, are they meeting their business objectives? Are they adopting the product, both in terms of users? Are the users using the product, logging in and using it frequently? Are they adopting the features, the competitive features, the sticky features, and so forth? And are they utilizing the capacity that they have purchased or subscribed for? And for that reason, we are building a model which is both event-based. For example, identifying users that have not logged in and reaching out to them automatically, or or through a customer success manager, and this is the monitoring paradigm. And we have the recurring activities that we're doing, like we are watering a tree every 3 days. We need to engage with customers on an ongoing basis to ensure that we are constantly on top of their training, their business objectives, and so forth, and building a model that can both allow us to measure the success of every process, onboarding, nurturing, escalation management, and renewals, and making sure that we are actually taking the actions to do that is something that is baked into the model of portfolio management. I've borrowed a slide from Kate, and as you can see, up until now, we've talked about the fact that if we collect all the stream of information, which is the data aspect of the technical solution, and we use a monitoring paradigm that looks for changes over time, it will create the insights that will allow us to take action, and then build a workflow which maps first and foremost into the customer journey, onboarding, nurturing, adoption, retention. Also a workflow that mixes between recurring activities and event-based activities. These are the fundamentals of a customer success technology. And because of its unique nature, the unique nature of the customer base and unique nature of the process, it requires a technology that enables those capabilities. And this is kind of basically our kind of mission in Totango, is to build and deliver these technologies to our customers. Now, one of very important aspects here is to ensure that this technology fits well within the existing IT stack around the customer. There are all sorts of ideas around customer success technology to replace the sales CRM technology, but I don't think this is the right approach to address that. I think the right approach is much like marketing automation solution, build great connectors into sales CRM solution to streamline the business flow. In a very similar fashion, we have designed the Totango product to integrate very well into the marketing CRMs, into the sales CRM, into the service CRMs. So the customer success organization has the data, the insights, and the workflow that they need, while being able to act as a very good citizen within the organizational IT and putting data in and pushing data out around the success and a risk of their processes, so the rest of the organization is informed, is enabled to make the right decision. So I think the main point here is that some of you and many people that we talk to are afraid to introduce a new technology, although it's the right technology, just because they're afraid that it will create some sort of a challenge to introduce this into the IT stack. I will wholeheartedly urge you to consider thinking that solving the challenges of onboarding, nurturing, retaining, and growth are critical for the business, and the IT stack needs to be able to adapt to that. And you know, we're doing everything that we can to make sure that it's very seamless integration. So if I summarize kind of the metaphor of a customer success technology as I see it, it starts with a layer of sensors. Think Fitbit connected to every user and every customer. A sensor of all that collects the stream of indicators about the customer data, usage, support, CRM changes, marketing changes, and so forth, and then bubbles this information into early warning system, health, red, yellow, green, alerts, which customer needs your attention. Allows also to run a very contextual workflow of onboarding, nurturing, renewals, and upsell. Campaign management, which is an ability to automatically scale the operations and communicate directly with end users based on their behavior. And analytics, which allows us, since we know everything about our users and our customers, we know everything about the process and engagement, and we know everything about the outcomes, the retention, the churn, and the upsell, we're able to learn from that and optimize the processes and the emphasis in order to improve the way in which we are proactively impacting customer lifetime value. So I guess with that, Christine, I would like to open up the stage for questions.
Great. Thank you both, Guy and Kate. So we have a couple questions that have already come in, but I'd like to encourage the audience now, if you have any questions for either Kate or Guy or both, to go ahead and submit them in the bottom left corner of your window. And one question that came in is actually for you both. Who owns the role of ongoing customer management after the initial sale? What have you guys seen? Kate, do you want to take that first?
Sure. I see it live in 3 places in the organization. If you're in a firefighting mode, managing your customers and like Guy said, more of a reactive management than best practices proactive engagement. I see customer success living in customer support. It's an adjacent function, but it tends to report to the same general manager, VP. I see in some organizations customer success living as, again, a separate group in sales, where there's these relationships between the account managers that are hunting and then the customer success or customer experience or account managers who are farming accounts. I also have seen them, customer success operations in very mature companies, reported directly to a C-level executive, like a chief of a chief operating officer. Guy, what do you see? So before I pass it over to Guy, I haven't seen one standard organizational model emerge.
Yeah, I think it's correct, and I think the 3 classical models that I've seen is a customer success manager, a customer success team reporting directly to the CEO and responsible for all the key business processes of onboarding, nurturing, renewal, and upsell. The second model is where customer success is part of client services organization, which is what Kate mentioned as support, and client services usually also has professional services as part of it, and the organizational separations between client services and sales revenue. And in that case, usually the customer success is responsible for onboarding and nurturing, and not necessarily for renewal and upsell. And the third one is customer success as a sales function. And then there are the hunters that are responsible for clients for new logos, and customer success responsible for the entire post-sale revenue, and both of them report back to the same sales leadership. For that, by the way, for that reason, and because of all these different models, I would highly recommend to look at the business processes of onboarding, nurturing, renewal, upsell, and escalation management, and define customer success as the organizations that are responsible for these processes versus the people that carry the title, because these processes are what determines eventually the success of the renewal and upsell. Some cases it's collaborative effort, some cases it's a centralized organization. I think we're going to see more and more centralized models, just because it allows to align the incentives around the success of the customer.
Okay, so a great question came in for you, Guy. How do you determine churn is about to occur? Several CRM tools allow some predictive analytics, but they'd be curious to see what triggers Totango would use. They give an example of number of tickets, but do you want to describe how we are able to determine and predict churn?
Sure. So that's a very good question. I think for the audience, I would highly recommend starting, regardless of what you're doing, to do a churn analysis and figuring out the key indicators in the churn analysis. I think at the heart of it, customers will churn if, as Kate said, if they don't have the economic value from the service that they have provided, that they have subscribed to. So if they haven't implemented it, they will churn. If they haven't implemented it fast enough, they're going to churn. If they are not adopting that, they're going to churn. If they're not meeting their business objectives, they're going to churn. If they're not using the competitive features, they're going to churn. If the service is horrible, they're going to churn. So the key is to define health in a way that is able to reflect that. So for example, in Totango's model for health, we look at 5 key data categories. One is business outcomes. Does the customer get the outcome they're looking for? The second one is usage and adoption, both user adoption and feature adoption. The third one is utilization. The fourth one is other engagement like support, payments, any other engagement with the client. And the fifth one is customer feedback. And in every business it's a little bit different, but the key is to tune health based on the customer profile to make sure that it indicates early on customers that are showing signals of inability to deliver on those values, relative to their stage, and able to remediate that to prevent churn and maximize the adoption and upsell.
Great, thank you. Okay, so another question. With a highly technical onboarding process, how does the role of customer success fit in smoothly alongside other important roles in the organization? Guy, do you want to answer that one first?
Sure. So usually, in this case, they're going to be implementation services organization that is going to be responsible for actually implementing the customer. However, the key challenge with onboarding is, or one of the key, I would say, elements is the handoff between sales and customer success. So there are basically 2 models here. My recommended models would be that the customer success person is going to be part of the onboarding project and will be even lead the transition from sales to customer success, although it kind of branches immediately into an implementation project. But keeping the context of what was the objective of the customer, what is the project timeline, and what would success look like is something that someone needs to own within the organization. So in that case, I would highly recommend that a customer success manager will work in concert with the project lead that is responsible for the project implementation.
Yeah, and I was going to add, a customer success manager has to be comfortable at working across different levels within an organization. So they're working with the users, they're also working with the stakeholders to be able to report on the success of the implementation. It also gives the customer one contact, one centralized contact person, one front door to your company in case of an issue or a question or an escalation, almost like that one throat to choke. So I agree with Guy that a partnership between the technical implementer who's actually on the ground doing the work and the customer success manager, even for highly technical implementations, makes sense.
Great, thanks. We're kind of coming up on the top of the hour. This question came in for Guy. Is traditional CRM data even needed for the ongoing customer success management function? Can you answer that?
Sure. It's actually a very good question. I think if we look at what is the information that you will find in the CRM for the sharing within the organization is will do for post-sale will be the contact information and the subscription information, and sometimes if renewal is done on the sales side, an upsell, then the renewal and upsell opportunities. When a customer success organization is responsible for all the functions, they don't necessarily need the additional CRM, but it's very much defined on what is the information. For sure, what we need to make sure is that this information resides in both systems and replicated upon changes. So the part of the organization that relies on the CRM has all the time the up-to-date information about the customers, and the customer success team has all the information they need to run the customer success processes.
And I was going to say, if CRM, if your definition of CRM includes customer service, you also want that view not only of the contacts, but the support tickets, the ongoing support tickets. And it's something that's captured in your CRM, and as Guy said, it needs to be, this data needs to be available in your customer success solutions.
Great, thank you. So thank you to our audience today for joining us, and I want to encourage them to fill out the survey at the end of the webinar. And if you have any additional questions, we're displaying both Forrester and Totango, both Kate and Guy's personal information, if you would like to contact them with questions. And I want to personally thank our guest speaker, Kate Leggett, for joining us today. Thank you, Kate.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you, Guy. And we will let you know about our next webinar coming out soon, which are the 5 health checks for retention. You'll be receiving an invitation shortly for that. So thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.